security challenges. And this is the reason why we should cooperate also on missile defense. And the second part of your question was? Sorry, yes. As far as a NATO-Russia summit in Chicago is concerned, I think it's premature to make any assessment. I think we'll have a NATO-Russia meeting if we can reach an agreement on missile defense. If we can't, there won't be any meeting. It is as simple as that. So maybe there won't be a meeting. But as I said in another context, Chicago will not be the end of the story. We will continue talks, negotiations with Russia also beyond our meeting in Chicago.
Georgian media?
Same question. Putin is going to become the president, so everyone knows his position about further expansion of NATO. He's against to expand NATO near his borders, near Russia's borders. So will his the statements some kind influence further expansion of NATO?
No third country, no third party can make decisions on behalf of NATO. NATO decides on our open door policy, and NATO's door remains open, and that will be reiterated in Chicago. NATO's door remains open to European countries that are in a position to contribute to the security in the North Atlantic region, and countries that are in a position to further the principles on which NATO is based. This is clearly stated in Article 10 of our treaty, and that still stands. So it's for NATO to decide on the open door policy. As far as Georgia is concerned, I would like to recall the decision we took in Bucharest in 2008, at the NATO summit in 2008, according to which Georgia will become a member of NATO, of course provided that Georgia fulfills the necessary criteria. And we cooperate with Georgia within the NATO-Georgia Commission to make progress in that direction.
Financial Times.
Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary. Peter Spiegel from the Financial Times. If I can get back to the opening question about the Libya report, because it is not completely complementary to NATO's conduct. Just to read one section, NATO's characterization of 4 or 5 targets where Commission found civilian casualties as command and control nodes or troop staging areas is not reflective of the evidence at the scene or witness testimony. It basically argues that given the information provided by NATO, it does not know whether the civilian deaths occur because there were legitimate military targets. Do you anticipate that NATO will follow up and provide the Commission with the information it is seeking to determine whether those legitimate military targets or not? Thank you, sir.
Let me stress that we have fully cooperated with the Commission. We provided them a significant amount of information, much of which has also had to be declassified. And you can read the reports we sent to the Commission because you can see them in the annexes to the report. And the Commission concluded that we conducted a highly precise campaign with a demonstrable determination to avoid civilian casualties. As far as NATO is concerned, I can also tell you that we have looked into every allegation of harm to civilians of which has been brought to our attention. And this has involved a thorough assessment of all NATO's records, from target selection to any other data gathered after the strike. This review process has confirmed that the targets we struck were legitimate military targets selected consistently with the United Nations mandate, and that great care was taken in each case to minimize risk to civilians. I can tell you that no target was approved or attacked if we had any evidence or reason to believe that civilians were at risk. I can also inform you that hundreds of possible targets were passed up and others were aborted at the last minute to avoid any risk to civilians. So we have really done everything we could.
Associated Press. Press, maybe use the one next door.
Secretary General, you've addressed the issue of Syria several times in the past, and you said NATO was not planning to get involved. Do you have any other comments on that today?
The bottom line is the same as it's been all the time. But obviously we all follow the situation closely. And it's absolutely outrageous what we are witnessing. I strongly condemn the crackdowns on the civilian population in Syria. And I urge the leadership in Syria to accommodate the legitimate aspirations of the Syrian people, introduce freedom and democracy. In the long run, no regime can neglect the will of the people, neither in Syria nor in any other country.
Huna.
Nawab Khan from the Kuwait News Agency. Mr. Secretary General, my question is to do with the burning of the Holy Quran incident recently in Afghanistan. This has not only indignated the Afghani people but the whole Muslim world. So what steps are you proposing to take to avoid such incidents in future? Thank you.
This is a very unfortunate incident. I can also clearly state that the preliminary results of the investigations that have been initiated reveal that this incident was unintentional. The facts show that there was no malicious intent to mishandle religious material, and our commanders in Afghanistan will make decisions about the appropriate next steps also to avoid such